last time last live stream on Twitch, we talked about Honinbo Jowa being one of the strongest Meijins and a very aggressive sort of player, and I showed you one of his games from his earlier years. Today I wanted to talk a little bit about his opponent in the blood vomiting game, because everyone knows him as Akaboshi Intetsu, who just played that blood vomiting game, and it seems like he never played any more games in his life. But he did. He was a student at one of the 4 major Go schools in Japan at that time, the Inoue school, and that was that same very school where Genan Inseki, and the same Genan Inseki who played the ear-reddening game with Shusaku, where he was the head teacher, and Akaboshi Intetsu was his best student. Interestingly enough, Akaboshi, his name is written in Japanese like Aka means red, and Boshi, it's the same as Hoshi, like star, so it's like a red star. Akaboshi means a red star. Akaboshi was one of the best students, and everyone thought that he was going to become Meijin sometime soon. So Akaboshi was very young, but everyone saw that he was incredibly talented, he was a genius, and he was quickly rising to the top, and when he was like 20, maybe 22 or 23, he already became 7 dan, which at that time was uncommon, because like today, as you know, a lot of the stronger players, they study hard from the time when they're like 5 years old, and then they become professionals at the age of 12 or something. But at that time, being a 7 dan, because all those promotions were so much slower, and you had to like rise through those ranks and play a lot of tournament, play a lot of other players, and those very long drawn matches to be able to get your next promotion from like 1 dan to 2 dan. And all those dans were just more serious than they are today. And so Akaboshi being 7 dan at such a young age was just something quite surprising. And so that's why everyone believed that he was going to be the next top player of Japan. And probably Jowa himself believed that, because Jowa and Akaboshi, apart from that blood vomiting game that they played when Akaboshi was 25 years old, they played several games actually. When young Akaboshi was growing, Honinbo Jowa knew him very well. They played several handicap games, and I'm going to show you one of those games today. And this is not going to be just any game. I'm going to show you the first game that they played, the first live encounter that they had. Akaboshi. This was in 1827. So Honinbo Jowa was 40 years old, I think, and Akaboshi was like 17. 17 versus 40. Akaboshi was a little weaker then, and Honinbo Jowa was not yet Meijin. He would become Meijin later. He was still, I think, a 7 dan player, and Akaboshi was maybe 4 dan or something like this. I don't even know. I think that Akaboshi played this game in a very nice style. I'm always like, when I'm playing a game, especially a handicap game, when somebody gives me a handicap, I'm thinking, wow, how can I play in a very thick and like territory-oriented style so that my opponent doesn't really have much chance at attacking me. And this is exactly how Akaboshi played in this game. So let's have a look. Yeah, especially compared with Jowa the late bloomer. Yeah, Jowa became very strong very, very late. Jowa got to, actually, I think Jowa had just gotten to 7 dan. If he was 40 years old, he became 7 dan at the age of 40, compared to Akaboshi, who was 7 dan at 25. And this is the beginning. The game that I'm showing right now, is not a very famous game. This is a game that actually nobody probably knows. And this is the first time they played. This is 8 years before the blood vomiting game. Honinbo Jowa is playing white, obviously, and he's giving 2 stones handicap to young 17-year-old Akaboshi. So here we go. And notice that the computer is not going to agree with all of their moves and all of Black's moves here. Not necessarily, but it's interesting because the computer always goes for the most sharp, for the sharpest and for the most aggressive, and like the option that just takes that win rate to the top. But Akaboshi is not doing that, of course. Akaboshi knows that he's playing against a much more experienced opponent, so he wants to keep the game simple and thick. And it's just surprising how much he can do once he makes all of the groups strong. All right, so Black approaches, pincer, attach, very simple. a bamboo joint here. White takes the corner. Typically, this shape leaves some weaknesses, and typically, I think today we might see something like that, just to not leave any weaknesses, but fine. I think the computer was suggesting that as a probe, black should maybe cut here, because this creates a lot of the weaknesses in white's shape. So it's no surprise that once black didn't do that, white protected immediately. Now white is strong, good. Black makes a double pincer. Okay, simple. White lives. Attack. This is Jowa, and Jowa is a very aggressive player, you remember? He attacks everything he can. Of course, this is a handicap game, so he has to attack, otherwise he's going to lose the game. Black gets around it, but of course black lives in the corner. Okay. And again, this move is a little submissive. You can just tell that there probably could have been something better than that. But again, all of those moves, they're just maybe a tiny bit worse than the best moves offered by Katago or by Leela. But they still they keep this whole position very simple, and not leaving any weaknesses for white to attack. A simple connection. Now this creates kind of miai of cutting here, like cutting at Q7, or maybe connecting here at the bottom. And also the corner can live with Q2. Now white attacks. Cut. No weaknesses for white. Black lives. And here, the computer actually thinks that black doesn't need to add any moves. So the computer says that black at this point should play something like this. Just take that corner, and the corner is not killable, says Katago. But of course, it seems that if white now attacks, if white now does something like, I don't know, something like this, and then takes the stones, yeah, the corner's alive, but white becomes so much thicker. Everything, like all of the white stones are now connected. Everything is just so strong, and this stone, this P7 stone, just lost all of its meaning. It's now not a cutting stone. It's just a stone that was left there and just dies. So it's not surprising that Akaboshi didn't like this variation, even though he probably knew that he was not going to die there. So he makes himself stronger. Okay, white attacks. And this. So actually, we talked about invasions all the time because we have this course on invasions, and I've been thinking about invasions a lot recently. But this invasion in particular is not probably the best because white is maybe white is not strong enough to do this. So maybe white can just leave the stones, because playing like this doesn't feel very happy for white. So maybe white could just ignore this and not play anything. But this attachment, the problem is that black has a ladder. White doesn't have a ladder. The ladder doesn't work for white. And so here, how do I... Let me review the game so I don't see these variations offered by EA. Okay, let's go quickly to this point again. Yeah, so after this, Atari. And here comes the problem. White extends, black just takes it. And it would be very nice for white to Atari here, take the stone, and that would be very nice, right? Black gets some points, but white gets thickness, and black is all separated. This black stone at C13, it just gets totally isolated. That'd be nice, except it doesn't work because black is just going to escape. The ladder doesn't work, and there's nothing white can do about this. So Jowa maybe should have thought about this ladder before he played this. So in the game, he really had to be happy with this. Just make himself stronger on the outside, give up the points, and again, and Atari. And at this point, you still feel like white is not really strong enough, right? This whole white group, the shape is not perfect, and you really want to do something about it. And well, Jowa thought that he didn't, and this is very, very typical of him. Whereas any other player could have thought that this white group requires an answer. It needs an extra move to make shape, to save it. But Jowa is not this kind of guy. He's the kind of player who likes to counterattack. So Jowa, instead of adding any move, which Katago seems to be just sees as necessary, by the way, Katago thinks that white should play something like this right now just to make sure that the shape is okay and that white can escape happily here without any possible shape complications in the future. But Jowa says no. Jowa says, I'm just gonna attack this corner. What are you gonna do, Black? Because Black, you are just 17 years old. You don't know how to handle this. And here's my first question to you. This is Black needs to, obviously, if Black doesn't do anything right now, then White will just attack and then save the group in the center, and White is going to be happy. So Black needs to somehow split White and somehow try and attack those white stones. Yeah, so which move do you think Black should play right now? A, B, or C? And indeed, no surprise here, B is the best move. I just put C here just to confuse you guys, because C is a typical bad shape. We've talked about this, and we've had this in Gooplet's game actually. This is the kind of shape that I made in the game, and I felt so awkward about that, because White will just extend, and later White has a possible invasion. So this is the shape you should all avoid at all costs. This is something you will never see in a professional game, and of course Akaboshi could never play this. And A is this kind of classic, Japanese textbook move, but again, doesn't really do much. Yes, it separates, but White has total freedom of choice now at the bottom side. White can Tenuki and leave the stone and consider this a good exchange, this H3 for the black stone, and then just save the group. This will be fine. And yeah, in the game, Black played like this: attach, and this is like a leaning attack where we're attaching to the white stone, but we don't care about that stone. We don't care about attacking it right now. We only care about those other white stones in the center on the left. So White plays Hane, of course, and wait. Oh, Black plays this first, a peep, as an exchange. Of course, White doesn't want to connect here. This connection would be an ugly shape. White jumps. This peep is going to just stand there, and this is left for later. Black will move that stone later. And now another choice. Black has a choice of playing A, B, or C. What do you think? How do we make ourselves strong and thick so that we could get some thickness and power to attack White? But yeah, C is the kind of move that you see in this sort of case when you have this sort of attachment. You attach, extend, and this is the normal scenario we should all follow. But this is a bit of an exceptional case because Black is not trying to just do the normal Joseki here. Black is trying to play something special to make White thicker, but make himself thicker as well. And there is a special strategy that you can also use in. You can do that in a regular Tsukenobi, attach. Well, I'll show you later after the game. But you can do that in Joseki as well, and you can do that in this shape here. So of course, again, A is only here to confuse you. Someone voted for A, but yeah, A will just White will Atari immediately, and then White will probably even White can just do this and sacrifice one of the stones, and somehow White gets all of the stones linked. This would be nice. White gets the outside and some thickness. It's not really thick, but at least nothing's dying. And yeah, this will be a nice shape. But unless, for example, we do this, Black blocks, and now White doesn't have to add any moves here. White doesn't have to play on the bottom here, which means that White can actually add a stone somewhere. I don't know, white could do, for example, something like this, or white could do something like this. So white could add some stones here to the shape to make shape and escape. And so white would get kind of the bottom and make shape in the center as well. So white gets kind of both. To avoid that, in the game, Akaboshi played here. And this is a kind of making yourself and your opponent thick strategy. And typically, like, it doesn't matter what white plays right now, black is going to get thicker. The very standard response to this is this diagonal move. But again, black responds, and this black stone at J3 is kind of like a splinter now. It's just this, you have to handle this stone somehow. For example, if white just does this, black could extend, and then what? If white just kills it, then this is sente, and this is sente, and then after this, it's black's turn. Black got thicker, stronger. Now black can switch to attacking the center group. So black could do something like, I don't know, something like this, for example, and start an attack. If white connects, then this, and attack. So yeah, we give up some territory. We make white thicker, stronger, whatever, but we make ourselves stronger in sente. That's the whole idea for black. So in the game, white played here, taking more points. And the problem here is this. Black Atari is like this, and this seems to be what? A ladder? What is this? Well, the ladder actually doesn't work. Right now, white can escape. But there's a catch. Because if white now tries to... in the game, white didn't escape. In the game, white played here. And this is the best move, according to Katago. But let's see why white doesn't escape. If white escapes, well, the ladder doesn't work. But black can actually play here, and this is sente. Otherwise, well, if you now capture, if white does, I don't know, this, black will cut, and this is too much of a loss. Black now gets all of the right side with those 3 stones, and as long as the black stones are not going to die, and they won't, then this is a very, very nice variation for black. So, and if we respond, if white extends, black does this, white connects, now the ladder, it doesn't work for white anymore. Now the ladder comes to these black stones, and the white stones will die. So that's kind of awkward. That's why in the game, of course, Jowa doesn't do this. Jowa takes the corner, and here he ignores the connection and connects here, bumps, tries to connect to the white group, and this is the best move. Black says, okay, I'm gonna cut you, and I'm gonna just attack something. This, and here, according to Katago, white should probably just forget about his greed and forget about his ambitions and just take that stone. Because taking the stone will mean that the entire white group on the left is not going to be attackable anymore. It's safe. And yes, black can get this move, and probably, I don't think white is going to be alive here, but at least white has sente, and white could think of somehow using the aji of these stones in the future and still continue this game. But in the game, white saves them, black connects. Now, this is a nice shape-looking move. And here, white tries to make shape, but of course, this stone is not to be captured. Black saves the stone, connects, and this is a very interesting looking shape. Again, clearly not the kind of shape that you would expect from Katago to be the best, and Katago does criticize this move. This is like a bit off, but again, it's a very solid, thick looking move, which is, even though it's not probably the best, but it's there's a reason behind it. For example, the move that Katago suggests is the standard shape of jumping here, and this is kind of sente. White will do this. Black extends. Very nice shape for black. Black is out. White does this, but now white is all safely outside. You see? White is all like out, safe, no aji. So potentially black cannot expect to attack this white group anymore. So both are happy, but black loses every possibility of attacking this group in the future. And this is what Akaboshi was probably worried about. He didn't want to do this to just help white like this. In a sense, black is helping himself, but black is also helping white to make shape. And this move that Akaboshi played in the game, this one, it doesn't help white at all. It just makes some shape. Black is now solidly alive on the left. Black is solid at the bottom. Black is strong everywhere. And now you will see what this will result in. This game looks so chaotic. Well, I hope it doesn't, because I'm trying to explain what's happening here. But yeah, it's just that black is trying to make himself thick everywhere, and now the black is thick on the right, in the bottom right corner. Black is sort of thick at the bottom. Black is thick on the left, and now there's potential for black to attack everything that any stones that white can have in the vicinity. Black can now attack this bottom left group, and also the white corner, the upper left corner of white doesn't look very healthy yet, so black can expect to attack that in the future as well. So let's see. This exchange, and now, wait, is it now? Oh, this, and another poll. One more vote. It is now white's turn. White's turn. What do you think is a shape move for white? Yeah, so actually, again, I made it up, and and this is I think a very good thing to remember, because this is not the kind of shape that you would expect to play automatically, and this is definitely not in my automatic gear database here. And whenever I would see this in the game, I would also, my first instinct here was to play A, and that's why I put it here to confuse you guys. Because yeah, it seems so natural to play this move, and yet this is a bit heavy, because black can later push here, and then this, and then, so this is terrible. So probably white would have to sacrifice and do this. But still, there are lots of ways. There are lots of ways for black to play something like this. Lots of ways for black to harass white in the future with this shape. So it's a little heavy, and that's why this game, hey, someone followed. Welcome, welcome. So that's why this A shape is, it will be nice in a regular scenario, but not when you're trying to make sabaki. Not when you're trying to make a flexible, living, escape-like shape. So C is just something random I came up with. It's just entirely random. It just I picked it here because it's close to. I could have picked like Tengen or something, or this, and they're all equally. It's not even close to the shape, so it doesn't do anything. Black can still Atari here, and the shape that we should all remember, and the shape that the computer seems to recommend in this sort of situation is this one. Yeah, B. Yeah, the idea behind it is that even if black Atari is here, which seems totally normal, then white makes the bamboo joint here, take, and you're still fine. White still has a good shape, no cut, everything's fine, and there's always an escape route here, always an escape route for white. So white is all connected, all fine, and not getting under any attack here. So that's the sort of shape that is probably the flexible shape for sabaki in this sort of situation. But believe it or not, this is the poll that we did. It's none of those options were actually played in the game for some reason, which is unknown to me. In the game, Jowa played this, which is actually gote, and I don't understand how he could have done this. I mean, maybe he's trying to... So the problem with this move is that black blocks, of course. White does this, Atari. White has no shape, white has no eyes, and it's black's turn. Black doesn't need to respond in the corner, so black will play in the center. White could have played in the center and made shape, but now it's black's turn, and black gets to attack first. And this is exactly where black plays right now, except black could have played something like this, of course. Black could have Atari'd, but black picked an equally nice attacking shape here. This, just trying to get closer to white. Now, that's the move. White connects, and that's the point. You see, black is so thick everywhere. Like group A is thick for black. Group B is thick. Group C is not yet very strong, but white has no time to even think about invading there on the top. Because right now, the whole problem is here, right here in the center. And when black has strength everywhere, black can allow himself to finally be very bold and stop being so modest and, play so defensively and just to make solid shapes everywhere. Now, this is time to go berserk. Black goes berserk and black just does this. Oh, wait. Black does this attachment, white hanes, and cut. And yeah, this is the best moves according to Katago. And now, what is white gonna do? There's almost like no escape out of this. Black is strong, so Atari, Atari. White tries to make shape, Atari. Black connects, and Atari. It seems like there's a lot of cuts, but, black is so strong that none of those cuts actually work. And now this. Black probably doesn't have to do this. Black could just block from the outside like this, and this will be fine. But black goes for some extra defense, because this move is actually, it's not even attacking. This is a cut, and when white does this, it kind of forces black to do this, and now black's shape is fixed. And when white does this, black ignores and takes. And now the whole problem here is that this white group, as you can see, this A group, this huge blob of a group is the Soviet blob of a group, is now locked in. It's all sealed in, it's all surrounded, and white needs to figure out a way how to live here. Can white live here? Well, in the game, white played a very nice move, which is Katago thinks that this is the only chance that white has. And I didn't put any variations here. I didn't put any options. So I'm just asking you, where is that shape move which would create some hope for white? White is still losing this game badly, because white actually never got any chance, according to Katago. Because with 2 stones, black started with like 20-point lead, and black never lost that lead. So it's still pretty much the same lead, maybe even bigger. Maybe C2 was about getting 2 codes with F1. Okay. B11. Even if white does live, that's a beautiful wall. Yeah, exactly. Even if white manages to live, make 2 eyes there, black is still... I think black is going to be okay with getting that wall in the center. That's already good enough. Black is not going to be crying over, over white making 2 eyes on the left. Surely. B11. Wait, B11, B11. Wait, how do I make a move? All right, actually, I can place your suggestions on the board first. So B11 is the dome here. Okay. Oh, there's Hangma. Hangma in Korean, yeah, but F1. Okay. Brazil plays Go. I mean, I don't understand your LOL, actually, Brazil plays Go, because F1 is actually the one move that is the only move, the only hope for white. Let me tell you about it. Like, do you guys see the point of this move? This f1, I think someone mentioned before, right? Someone, was it the Soviet blobfish? Soviet blob mentioned the, yeah. Vadim, I don't understand the question. Can you repeat, please? Well, the question was about which move for white, which move should white play to hope to save something, and this is this move here at f1. And the point of this move is, it was actually me. No, I thought it was someone else, right? Someone mentioned it. Yeah. Oh, it was you. It was you. All right. Yeah. Okay. Yeah, it's a very nice move to make a ko. Exactly. So if the point is that even if black connects here, white gets a ko, and if white wins the ko, then white lives, right? And if black connects here, then white can push this, and this is a ko. So this is like the double-sided ko, and there's no way for black to avoid this. And so that's why black didn't even try to. Black doesn't care about this, right? Black doesn't care about winning or killing that group. Who cares about that group? Yeah, so black just escapes here and says, okay, forget about that. You want to live in the corner? Go, live there. I don't care. I'm just going to destroy everything. And this, and again, ignore, black extends, and at this point, Jowa resigned because it's becoming just so terribly bad here. Look, this upper left corner, it's not even 100% safe, because later, if let's say white does anything here, black can jump in, and this corner doesn't feel that it's like 100% safe there. White can probably live with 2 points, but that's not a happy kind of living. Also, white is not still alive here. So let's imagine now that after this move, Jowa does not resign. Let's say Jowa just continues to fight. And let's say he starts this ko, which is a pretty big ko, right? If white manages to kill these stones, and white gets, not only does white live, but white gets the entire corner with all of those black stones inside. Pretty good, you would think. But then the problem here is that black has some very nice co-threats. For example, black could play, let's say, black could play this one as a co-threat. And then this. And let's say, okay, let's find some co-threats for white. White maybe has something like this, right? This is a co-threat. And this is also a co-threat. White needs to capture this, and white gets something like that as well, and we capture. And let's just say that at some point, I don't know, black does something here, for example, and white just captures. But the problem here is that later, after this Atari, there's even Aji with these two stones. These two stones, which seem to be like left for dead, but black can actually do something with them. And black can, even though they're dead, but black has this move, which is really cool. And after white captures this move. And now all of the white stones on the right seem cut off. So it's just, this is a hopeless fight. Even if white manages to kill that corner, it doesn't matter, because black has just so many places where he can attack because of this tremendous thickness. And that's the real problem. And that's why Jowa resigned, feeling that there's no hope. There's no hope. There's so many, too much trouble, too many problems to solve. Makes a picnic ko. I don't understand why black didn't start with e4 before tenuking. E4. Wait, e4. E4? Oh, you mean... Well, probably because... I don't know. Maybe because black didn't care. Because it doesn't matter to him. Is it going to be like those 5 stones or this? Maybe this was a possible exchange. because, right, where was that? It was here, right? Oh, before that. Before here, black could have done this, right? And yeah, this would have forced white to live small. Probably this would have been better. Yeah, maybe. But again, this kind of leaves some weaknesses at the bottom, and in the game, having forgotten about this bottom side, black strengthened the upper side as well. So black became strong everywhere. And that is what I like about this game, just how marvelously, with only 2 stones of handicap, a young Akaboshi managed to just make such a thick game that he left Honinbo Jowa absolutely no chance at all. No fighting, nothing. And it's just not even very difficult. When you're so strong, the things that he played at the last stage of the game, they're not so crazy complicated. It's not like you're watching a Shinjinso or a Kojia game where everything just goes bananas from the very beginning. But this is like, yeah, you could definitely read that.
By the way, you can also watch these lessons on our platform, gomagic.org. Except there, you'll watch them with interactive quizzes right within the lessons and practical exercises right after them. And if you enjoy watching these Go videos and you don't want to miss others like this one, go smash that like button, subscribe to our YouTube channel, and this is Go Magic.